A playwright like Ken Ludwig takes a lot of care picking the words for his actors to speak.
Name is Tuck, Friar Tuck, and we will soon discover if this fellow creature of the Almighty dies by the rope in agony, his eyes oozing yellow pus, his body twitching in jerks and spasms.
But when it comes to describing swordplay on stage, he may just have two. They fight.
The stage directions for a fight scene often will suggest that the scene is about over, but then you wind up with like 3 minutes of swordplay or whatever. Hopefully, that 3 minutes of swordplay is full of plot points that resolve character conflicts that were set up earlier in the show or earlier in the scene.
Short swords.
This lack of detail in stage direction can mean a lot of latitude and creative freedom for both the fight choreographer and the director. Jessica Stone directs Robin Hood at the Globe. She initially conceived of using invisible weapons and sound effects.
And it just looked like a video game, and it didn't have the same sort of thrill and romance as with the real weapons. Actually, the proximity to these swords and to the clanging and banging, even if it's not at the speed, which is unrealistic, that people are used to seeing in a movie, that because they're so close, it actually is thrilling. The clanking of metal is really, really fun.
But it's a challenge to deliver action to an audience that's used to watching movies.
The most important thing is to realize that the audience is expecting an experience that has been informed by film, and to make sure that the style of what you're giving them is reminding them of that, and to keep it as exciting as it can be by presenting them a sword fight that is directly in front of them.
We're giving the audience a more 360-degree view of what this would be like. It's different in that we can't lie. We got to sell every bit of it, and we can't mask anything.
And stage actors don't get any retakes or stunt doubles like you get in movies.
It's diametrically opposite with theater. You need to keep that actor totally safe. You must keep the audience, who's potentially sitting 6 inches away from the end of the sword fight, totally safe. And they need to be able to repeat it over and over and over and over and over flawlessly every single time.
And twice on Sunday. That's a lot of work.
Oh, it's a lot. We're working almost daily with sword work, which is the bulk of what we're doing. In addition, there's quarterstaffs, there's bows and arrows, there's things that we're turning into weapons that we didn't even realize we would be using.
Adding to the challenge is the fact that the theater also happens to be in the round.
The one thing that putting a fight in the round does, which is good for fight choreography, is that sword fighting specifically, like not a punch, the sword fighting involves, and the audience assumes and hopes to see, a lot of swings that don't hit, right? Like when you imagine an Errol Flynn movie, we're not forced to believe that we missed seeing the cut land. It's sword on sword action, and that kind of thing you can do in the round. The style that we're going for here is very similar to that style, because in order to accomplish the swashbuckling style, which was created by fencing masters in Hollywood at that time, so they're imagining fighting with rapiers while they're telling the actors to fight with broadswords. We're doing the same thing here, where we have these very light, very agile weapons so that the actors can accomplish that style of choreography.
1, 2, 3, 4.
And stage choreography goes counter to what you'd be doing if you were actually fencing.
Fencing, you're supposed to be doing as little as possible to hit your opponent as quickly as possible so that maybe even he didn't even see it. While in theatrical sword fighting, you're supposed to be doing these much wider moves with the goal of not ever hitting anybody and making sure that everybody sees it.
Robin Hood is the type of production that invites the audience to play make-believe and to go along with whatever artifice the creative team comes up with.
What we've put in front of everybody is something that is going to remind them of their childhood, that is going to give them something that's incredibly enjoyable to watch from an athletic point of view, and that they're also going to appreciate the agility of the script and of the acting.
I've got a game!
Ken Ludwig's Robin Hood provides a fresh spin on the action in Sherwood. Beth Accomando, KPBS News.